Well guys, we're going to start installing the racing core here today. The core box, we've already placed it here and I've already glued it here, right on top of the panel. It's still not threaded for anyone who wants to put it somewhere else. It's as simple as glue it somewhere else and then we'll start here, right? Installing the racing core wires, okay? So I'm going to run the wiring to connect it. Since I'm going to put it here in the middle of the panel, I'll run the wiring here through the corner of the finish. Right, and for those who want to put it here on top of the dashboard or in the air vent outlet, you will simply have to do something that is very easy to do. I will show you how to remove both in the Audi A3 and in the Golf GTI. To do this, remove the side cover, put a plastic key here in the corner and pull it. It comes out, there's the OBD2 socket to connect it, it's here under the panel. So I'm going to run the wiring, it's not too difficult. I'm going to run it here under the panel, lifting it here right until it reaches this part here. Here's where it reaches on the console. But if you want to put it in the air vent outlet that is directly above, you can run wiring here from the inside. This wire here, it's from the OBD2 socket down here, so you can see it there. The little purple one. Below, you run the wire through here, lift it here, and you already have the air vent outlet, right? This pipe here is for the air outlet, so you can run it directly here to the air outlet if you want to install it in the air outlet or if you want to install it on top of the panel. You run it here inside the finish and come out with the wire right here in the corner, right? At the junction, allowing you to place it here on top of the panel. So I'll run the wire here. As you saw, there isn't much of a secret, just run it from here below. The panel right on the side of the OBD2 socket, directing it either here to stay in the middle, right on the steering wheel, or to go here on the side to stay here on top of the panel. Or here where the pipe is, right, for the air conditioning, to run it here from inside so that it exits here at the air conditioning vent outlet. I'm going to run the wire and we'll show you the finished result. We already ran the wire here, as I mentioned, from the side. Maybe I'll move it since I don't like the wire showing, so I may change its location here to the top of this panel or to the air vent outlet. But primarily, I'll leave it here to see what I think. I ran it here through the corner, as you saw. Here, its wire comes out. From here, it goes down right in this little side box here under the panel to connect to the OBD2 socket. This other wire that you see is from the sensor. This allows us to see the fuel ethanol mixture in the car. So this wire here, it has to go to the engine compartment so we can send it to the engine safe. We use this both in the Audi A3 and in the Golf GTI, as well as some other models. We have an original factory hole here under the panel, which is this one here. I'm going to show you. Here, you see this rubber finish. If we pull it back, we have this other rubber piece. If we remove it, we have access to part of the safe from the engine that comes out behind the battery. So I'm going to run the wire here, so it comes out to the engine, and then we'll put this rubber band and this finish to close it again. Okay, then I'll run a wire there. I will later run wire to the engine part. Then you pull the wire over to the engine part. After I thread the wire, I'll show you where it comes from, okay? Okay everyone, I threaded the wire through that hole that I pointed out earlier, correct? Here's this little piece of iron that I threaded through. So, it went through the hole and you'll see where it exits the engine. Let's move over to the engine part. Here, look, the wire came out exactly here. Behind the car's battery, you see, you can't film all the way down there, but it roots through the bottom and comes out up here, right in the battery's area, okay? So I'm going to tie the wire to the other end and I'm going to pull this iron piece so that the connector comes out here on the engine. Great folks, as we have already routed the two wires here, right? What you're going to do is measure the amount of alcohol in the mix, or the turbine pressure, through the hole I told you about. The original that you have on the A3 in the Golf, right, which is hidden here behind this finish, behind the footrest. We're going to replace the rubber now, right, to seal it back here in this original hole that gives access to the motor side. So I'm going to fit it here. It's a bit tricky to do with just one hand, but it works. There are people who drill holes in it to pass the wires, right? I'm not a big fan of cutting the original rubber, so I prefer to do it this way, as I already have another wire already running here, which is from something else that I installed that isn't related to the race core. Then we put the finish back here, okay? Cover is placed. The wires I routed through the corner. This one I threaded through the corner of the OBD2. So I still have to pull it up here so that it doesn't stick out, so that it doesn't stick out down here, you see? So that it's very tight here. After this part, we are going to place a side cover here to show you how we attach it. We attach it here on the side, right? Support it here on the side, align it here, right? The clips, after aligning the clips, is just us. Tap it here. It fits and stays right, okay? Now we go to the engine part. As I told you, I went through that hole there. The wires come out here, right behind the battery. The two wires came out here. One of them is from the ethanol sensor that comes here that I will thread it under the intake pipe to keep it hidden. And I'm going to hide it here behind this black cover because it's right here where the ethanol or turbine pressure sensor, which is this one, is located. I'm also going to thread it under the intake here, remove this original cover, and it will be plugged behind this sensor here, and it will also be hidden so that no one can see how beautiful it is. To remove this cover, just pull it up and it comes loose. There's not much of a secret, just pull it. So what I'm going to do is pass the wire that goes to the ethanol sensor under the filter, move up to the side and pass through this original channel here. I'm going to leave it here to plug it into the ethanol sensor because the ethanol sensor goes exactly here at this junction between the two original clips. So we will release one, release the other, release both, place it here in the middle, and then plug in the sensor. And this one here, which is for turbine pressure, goes on the map that is connected back here. So do the same thing. Pass it under the filter, move it through here, exactly pass through this little hole that already has an original one to connect it here too. I passed the two wires here at the side, passed them under the pipe. They came out right here on the intake side, battery intake, second engine. The two wires, right? The two connectors are inside the original covers. The first one is the turbine pressure sensor that is connected to the map. They came out of this little hole that comes to the wire of the map itself. It is an original and it is connected to back here on the map, right? The second wire, I passed it here. It will stay here precisely because it is connected directly to the sensor here, which goes to the fuel line too. So we can read the car mix, okay? So I'm going to make the connection here. I'm going to film for you the ethanol sensor, and then I'm going to show you the turbine pressure. Good people, so we can install the turbo pressure sensor here. What do? we get another hose, buy this adapter that I showed you previously, loosen the screw, remove the original sensor. This is it. Take it out, put the small metal adapter down here that will have this outlet here for the turbine pressure. From the collector, put it on, put the sensor itself on, fit it on top and put the new screw in. The sensor, measures ethanol, the mixture of alcohol in the fuel, is this one. We ran the small thread through here. This one is the original hose, right? The car here in the middle of it, originally it comes with 2 clamps. And besides, it comes with 2 clamps, and it already comes with a splice. So what we do is we loosen the 2 clamps that come with it, remove the connector that comes with it. The original and the sensor that comes from the racing core fits directly here. So I only had to buy these 2 little plugs here and put the hose on one side, secure it with the clamp, put the hose on the other, fasten it with the clamp, and connect the sensor. So it's already working. Installation is very simple. Good people here, we firstly have turbine pressure at the top. The first one is the first display. Here the max boost, which is the maximum pressure that it managed to reach. Marked today, 1.61 bar of pressure, the intake temperature. Here a lick probe, which we know is a probe where we can know if the mixture is rich or if it is lean. Rail here would be the water temperature. And here's the ETHH, which is how much alcohol is in the mixture. So, like my car, it is gasoline. It has 28%, 27%, 28% alcohol, which is what the original standard is for regular gasoline or other gasolines. When we touch it up here, it's actually...
I'm going to return to this. See this little yellow dial? It's from the lambda probe, so it will keep shifting to show you the status of the probe, whether it's positive or negative. You can observe the butterfly opening here on the turtle. We have ignition here, and we also have the battery here. It shows the battery status and how much charge the car's battery has. We also have ignition advance and delay here. Now let's look at the other display. I'm going to start the car and it will give us another set of data. See, it's on. The lambda probe is active and it's indicating the probe in the green because it's practically at 1. Here, we have the variation of turbine pressure. It's negative because it's in a vacuum, and once it exits the vacuum, it becomes positive. We also have intake temperature and rail here. We can see the fuel mixture, essentially the composition of how much alcohol is in the gasoline. Anyone who uses E50, E70 or E80 can find out here. Everything is functioning perfectly on the Nucleo racing clock. Back 10. I've test driven it for a few days. I'm very impressed. The screen quality is excellent. The screen lighting isn't too intense as to be disruptive while driving. The lighting is well done. One interesting feature is that when you're at start-stop, it doesn't keep flickering. When switched on, it displays a cool little screen. Let me switch it off again. When we turn it off, everything is off. When we turn it on, there's a little button on top. Let me press it so you can see the Nucleo Racing logo and the Audi logo appear, which I thought was really cool. The quality was top grade. I have zero complaints. The product and the quality were top grade. The readings are flawless. Everything is in order, and that's about it. Those who are interested, Nucleo Racing is a Brazilian brand. The product gets a top grade. In terms of price, cost, and value, it's the best in both the Brazilian and international market. I believe no one else can beat their price, considering a product that provides so much value to the market.